In universes where heroes must rise to challenge darkness, few shine as brightly as Star Saber. Whether it's Link facing off with Ganondorf for the sovereignty of Hyrule, Superman battling Doomsday to the bitter end through the streets of Metropolis, or Samurai Jack traveling through time to deal with the nightmare future brought about by a coup, a hero must muster everything they have to defeat any foe who threatens the innocent. In a galaxy where worlds are obliterated in an instant, there stands an Autobot who dares challenge the monsters. Let's say go and enter a world where the fate of the universe hangs in the balance. This is a legacy of courage, the story of Star Saber. First joining the world of Transformers in the premiere episode of Victory in 1989, Star Saber is the Autobot's supreme commander and the greatest swordsman in the universe. Many millennia before the events of Victory, Star Saber would face off with Death Saurus over the construction of the planet-destroying fortress, where Star Saber and a fleet of Autobots would defeat the Decepticon and lock away his great weapon in the Dark Nebula. In the years leading up to the events of Victory, Star Saber would lead the Autobots and the Galactic Defense Force against Decepticon threats. These battles would be some of Star Saber's earliest defining moments, as he would prove his abilities as a leader, fending off powerful attacks, and even adopting an orphan human child named Jan Minakaze and becoming his father figure. Star Saber's time as Autobot's Supreme Commander is marked not just by his skills in battle, as he works alongside the likes of Road Caesar, Landcross, and Jinrai, but also his courage, empathy, and paternal instincts. With the adoption of Jan, he transcends previous Autobot leadership, while Optimus Prime would work alongside humans, doing everything he could to preserve life for humanity. Star Saber took this compassion for life even further, raising a child on his own, balancing his formidable battlefield presence with a nurturing heart. This battlefield presence shows Star Saber not only as a warrior and leader, but as a symbol of valor and unwavering determination. His combative skills are unrivaled, often putting him in perilous positions as he's tested and even beaten. It's in these moments when all hope is lost that are a testament to his courage and resilience, even when faced with overwhelming odds. These moments of loss are incredibly powerful, and in some cases even life-changing. After being wounded by Death Saurus after falling into his trap, Star Saber would be forced to re-enter battle shortly after, as the Decepticon Emperor of Destruction began to ramp up his attacks in the Supreme Commander's absence. Here, Death Saurus would ready a fatal blast from his living metal destroying cannon, aiming to destroy Star Saber until Jinrai sacrifices himself for his friend. This moment of sacrifice would change the course of history for the Autobots. Jinrai would demand his body reconstructed into a form that could combine with Star Saber, against the wishes of the Supreme Commander himself, creating Victory Leo and in turn Victory Saber. In this form, he would be powerful enough to stand toe-to-toe with the increasingly dangerous Decepticon forces, but with his great power came even greater threats, as more lives would become at risk as Death Saurus became more desperate. The Decepticon threat to Earth would reach its climax with the discovery of the lost city of Atlantis. Using the last of their energy reserves to raise the lost world from the ocean floor, tidal waves would erupt, leaving devastation in its wake, and granting the Decepticons the power they need to finally restart the planet-destroying fortress. With the planet on the brink of utter destruction, Star Saber would have one final opportunity to stop Death Saurus as he did so many years ago. Aided by his son and his fellow Autobot companions, Star Saber would be granted one final battle. Here, he would need to muster all his strength to stop a tyrant and save everyone and everything he loved. But Star Saber's victory in the final duel with his rival would not be the end of his story. Instead, he would continue into Transformer Zone, as the Autobots must now deal with an even larger threat, and Violent Jogger and his 9 great demon generals. In Zone, Star Saber in his Victory Saber form would visit the planet Femina as it's under attack by the Decepticons, leading to the world's destruction and the resulting explosion sending Star Saber careening through space until being discovered months later. But Star Saber is resilient, and the story that began in the Victory anime would near its end with the Robot Masters comic. This series would be a time-hopping adventure that would allow Star Saber to join forces with Optimus Prime, Optimus Primal, and Leo Convoy as they battle Generation 1 Megatron, Beast Wars Megatron, and the Seekers, placing him alongside some of the greatest Autobot leaders and some of the greatest Decepticon foes. While a bulk of Star Saber's memorable history would take place during the Victory anime, the near simultaneously released manga for Victory would give another look at the character's heroic history. In this series, humanity's relationship with the Transformers would be explored, specifically through the relationships of adopted sons and their fathers, such as Jan and Star Saber, and Solon and Death Saurus. Like the Victory anime, Star Saber would deeply care for his family, doing anything he can to keep Jan safe while still working alongside him, instilling him with the ideals of the Autobots. Their relationship, like any father and son, isn't perfect, with times when the two butt heads, but are ultimately able to deal with their issues. While Star Saber is similar to his anime incarnation, some other significant changes are made to the manga, including the nature of Victory Leo. While still a component to Victory Saber, he would no longer be formed from Jinrai, removing that built-in connection between Star Saber and Victory Leo. Here, Death Saurus' story would also be significantly different. While we'll explore the story of Death Saurus in an upcoming episode of The Dark Side of Transformers, the end of the Victory manga would end with the two faction leaders agreeing to peace, allowing the Autobot and Decepticon families to live in harmony for the time being. Star Saber's story would continue in the Zone manga series, ending in a similar fashion to the Zone anime, with Star Saber nearly losing his life as the planet Femina is destroyed following an attack by the 9 Great Demon Generals. While the Victory in Zone manga series would take a similar approach to Star Saber, the IDW Comics continuity would turn him into someone truly unrecognizable. While the IDW Comics continuity has done an excellent job with new stories and takes on characters from across Transformers lore, the changes they made to Star Saber are absolutely baffling. No longer a hero, Star Saber would be reimagined as a religious zealot, taking on the moniker the Dark Evangelist, who attempted to orchestrate the extinction of all atheists. He's a madman who would enforce the Tyrus Accords and the Chief Justice's wishes. This villainous turn would see him betray his former order of the Circle of Light and create an enemy in Cyclonus. Through a series of events which would lead Star Saber to take on the role of Chief of Security on the Lost Light, he'd finish his rivalry with Cyclonus, ending in defeat in his bisection. Over Star Saber's history, the Autobot commander's personality would vary wildly, from the courageous and fatherly incarnation seen in the original anime and manga, to a barely recognizable version of the character as a religious zealot seen in the IDW comics. What lies ahead for Star Saber is unclear, with his last appearance in Transformers media occurring at the end of the IDW continuity and a brief mention in the Wreckers, Treads, and Circuits miniseries as a candidate for the Wreckers. Little is known about the character's future, but with the Hasbro crowdfunded HasLab releases of both Victory Saber and Deathsaurus, hopefully with a renewed interest in the character, we'll see Star Saber face off with the Decepticons yet again. With all that being said, what's your thoughts on Star Saber's legacy, and where do you want to see the character show up next? If you enjoyed this look at Star Saber and the lore of Transformers Victory, stay tuned for our next episode of The Dark Side of Transformers. There, we'll be taking a look at the Decepticon Emperor of Destruction. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay handsome.